Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Forgotten former Cowboy completely destroys Jerry Jones over asinine trade. For all of the flack the Dallas Cowboys get for their lack of involvement in free agency, they are no stranger to wheeling and dealing. This team has made myriad trades in the Jerry Jones era, but you're not here for a history lesson. Just this offseason, Dallas has traded for two former first-round picks in cornerback Kaiir Elam and linebacker Kenneth Murray Jr. Neither player has lived up to their first-round billing, but the Cowboys are hopeful a change of scenery will reinvigorate them. It is more likely than not that those trades morph into home runs, but there's nothing wrong with making a cheap, low-risk move at positions of need. While head-scratching pickups, there is already a low bar for Elam and Murray. When you think about the worst Cowboys trades in recent memory, shipping Amari Cooper to Cleveland is the consensus pick. However, there is a forgotten deal that, while inconsequential, is not talked about nearly enough around these parts. And the player in question still uses the deal as motivation. Does the name Charvarius Ward ring a bell? Ward, who just inked a 3-year, $54 million contract with the Colts as a free agent, has been consistently really good in his career. That culminated in second-team All-Pro and Pro Bowl selections in 2023. Ward made a name for himself with the Chiefs and later the 49ers, but folks forget his career started with the Cowboys. Unaware that they struck gold in Ward, Dallas regrettably traded the now 28-year-old to the Chiefs during training camp. It would appear Ward still takes the trade personally, and he took it upon himself to rip Dallas decision-making during a recent appearance on the Colts team podcast. "You don't have many opportunities as an undrafted free agent," Ward said. "Even going back to the Cowboys, I signed with them as an undrafted free agent in training camp. In OTAs, I was strapping them boys. I thought I was going to make the team in Dallas, but Dallas don't make a lot of good decisions, so they ended up trading me to Kansas City." You might be wondering why Ward is still talking about Dallas 7 years later after all the success he's had in the league. As a former undrafted free agent, though, he'll never forget his path to success. Even if the Cowboys drafted and then traded him, he'd still use the trade as motivation. That is how professional athletes are wired. Ward has carved out a really nice career for himself. He has every right to call out the Cowboys for fumbling a gem. While the trade has aged horribly, Dallas was stacked at cornerback at the time. They had an established stud in Brian Jones and a trio of promising youngsters in Anthony Brown, Chido Awuzie, and Jordan Lewis. However, they did not re-sign Jones after the 2019 season. By that time, Ward was a 16-game starter for the Chiefs. He finished with 10 passes defended and 2 interceptions in his first year as a starter in 2019. It's not outlandish to think Ward could have stepped into the CB1 role in Dallas after Jones' departure. Cowboys ex Michael Gallup announces major career change. The Washington Commanders are counting on the old saying working yet again with their virtual pipeline to the Dallas Cowboys. What brought the Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. and a host of players including Tyler Biadasz and Dorrance Armstrong is being used again as they have signed former Cowboys receiver Michael Gallup. The former third-round draft pick is unretiring, and Washington is taking on a chance on him with a 1-year contract for the veteran minimum. Gallup, 29, sat out the 2024 season after being released by the Cowboys and briefly signing with the Las Vegas Raiders in 2023. "I got a lot of fire up in me," Gallup said in his first Commanders press conference Thursday afternoon. "There's definitely some meat left on the bone. Washington is building a great foundation here and I want to be a part of it. I don't have to necessarily be the top receiver on the team, but I still have a lot to add." Gallup posted 1,107 yards in 2019, but never hit that same mark again with Dallas, totaling 843 yards the next season. From 2021 to 23, he did not reach 500 yards in a season. Injuries played a role in that decline. Regardless, Gallup was set to compete for a fresh start when he signed with the Raiders. He'll join a tweaked Commanders receiving core that now includes Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel and Noah Brown, yet another former Cowboy. Cowboys trading Micah Parsons idea gets update from ESPN. Pretty much all along, Dallas Cowboys management has known what it was getting into with Micah Parsons. Extension even clearer that it already was. The linebacker wasted little time exhibiting the potential for greatness, and has done it on the field as a perennial 12-sack performer and an overall dynamic stud that offenses must account for. As he's built his resume, he's added statistical subtleties, too, like the fact that over the last 2 seasons he's been number 1 in the NFL in pressure rate, pass rush win rate and double team rate. He's a player who is now well worth the new market of $40 million per year, and as Jerry and Stephen Jones negotiated with Micah's reps, that is surely the number that is at the core. Given that Dallas saw this coming all along, the big performances marrying the big money, there wouldn't seem to be much new to debate here. But ESPN's get-up is sometimes driven by drivel. Debates must occur. And the Cowboys must be featured. So, on this show, we have red herring arguments that pit Dallas' willingness to pay Dak Prescott $60 million APY against Dallas' alleged unwillingness to pay Micah $40 million. We have made up trades that would bring Dallas back a king's ransom of 3 first-round picks. And in a new wrinkle, we have a fresh update on the reason Dallas should move on from Micah rather than pay him. Said panelist Tim Hasselbeck said. Look, I think they're so far away from the other teams in their division that I think it's a very reasonable argument to say, look, why don't we do this? Why don't we move him and start the rebuild? Because we're really far from Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. We're really far from what Philadelphia is doing with Jalen Hurts, and so a reset and a rebuild makes sense as well. Hasselbeck, to his credit, isn't trolling here. But that doesn't mean he's making any sense. First off, Dallas is already in a rebuild. Secondly, the Eagles of 2024 had the NFL's best roster, so if Dallas is supposed to give up on being competitive with them, shouldn't most of the other 30 teams do the same? The Eagles, Lions, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, and maybe the Commanders are true contenders. So Dallas and the other 26 teams should throw in the towel? And finally, if there is a talent gap between the Cowboys and their competition, and there is, how is dumping a generational talent in the prime of his career the path to closing the gap? If today Dallas traded Parsons and netted, realistically, per history, 2 first-round picks, the Cowboys would get one of them this year and one next year. That transaction would make the team worse in 2025, and maybe improved from there in 2026 if both first-round picks are home runs. Oh, and by the way, which picks are the Cowboys getting? 2 top 10 picks? 2 picks in the 20s? Where's the guarantee that such a move speeds a rebuild? The Cowboys might move too slowly on some of these matters. But when it comes to generational superstars, they do move. They do sign them. Because they know what they're getting into once they draft and develop one of them. And you fan? What do you think about Micah Parsons' situation? Write to us in the comments.